Great Scott. Tim Scott endorses Kari Lake in Arizona. This is actually significant. These endorsements down ticket are actually pretty important for someone like Kari Lake. She's up against Republican Mark Lamb in a pretty tight race, and they're both going against Ruben Gallego. We have to take Arizona back. Kari Lake is in for the fight of her life. This channel really blew up because of Kari Lake. So, she's been called a grifter. Steve Bannon just loves her whole campaign. She's very MAGA, very that red soil American out there in Arizona. That's Kari Lake's people. So they call her a grifter and an opportunist, kind of similar to, I would say, a Margie Taylor Greene, Boebert, Matt Gaetz. These are the core right MAGA people, and Beltway Washington just hates them. They despise them. And that's why we need to send her to the Senate. Senator Kari Lake. I'm open, by the way, to Mark Lamb too. I think he's a fantastic character also. So I'm not putting any shade on him at all. And Kari Lake has always made it clear that she's running against Ruben Gallego, not Mark Lamb. Mark Lamb's the one that has, he has to get himself up there with Kari Lake because of her notoriety. She's a very famous person in media. Let's get to the article on that whole thing on Tim Scott. This is from the Washington Examiner. Tim Scott endorses Kari Lake in a very competitive Arizona Senate race. This is for the seat opened up by Kirsten Sinema, who was going to run as an independent, then dropped out when she realized the Democrats hate her even more than Kari Lake. Senator Tim Scott, Republican, South Carolina, is endorsing Kari Lake as she solidifies GOP support for her Senate race in Arizona, one of the top battlegrounds of the 2024 cycle. This is a big deal because it shows Kari Lake she needs the GOP support. Now, this is weird because she fights against the establishment, and now you need the establishment. You need the establishment's money to run your campaign. You need their endorsements for your campaign. Can't do it alone. Doesn't work. It's too close. You need their help. Scott, on former President Donald Trump's running mate shortlist, lauded Lake for her stances on border security and the economy, arguing she is the best candidate to help implement Republicans' America First agenda. Kari Lake's unwavering commitment to securing our border and revitalizing our economy reflects the true spirit of what makes America exceptional. And that is why she is the leader Arizona needs in the U.S. Senate, unquote. Scott said in the statement in the Washington Examiner, quote, I endorse Kari Lake for U.S. Senate because we can count on her to fight for secure borders, a strong economy, and an America First agenda that will create opportunities for families across this country. So she goes to Washington to represent the Senate. The endorsement makes Scott a top surrogate for Trump and former presidential candidate, one of the most prominent Senate Republicans to back Lake's campaign. Very few people have taken more visits to Mar-a-Lago than Kari Lake. She and Trump are very close, very good buddies. He's put some distance with her since the Senate campaign because obviously he has his own presidential stuff to go for. I just want to stay up to date with her. I called her running for the Senate before anyone else did. I saw it coming. I'm going, this governor thing is not going to work out. The door is opening up for the Senate in a way big way. She's going for it. Quote, Senator Tim Scott is a strong conservative in the Senate, standing up for the secure borders and the American dream. Lake said, I am honored to have his endorsement. Endorsements mean a lot. Down ticket, even more so for someone like Kari Lake than anyone else who, or whether if Kari Lake, endorses Trump or not. She did. That's not a big deal. Getting a pretty prominent Republican like Tim Scott way up there in the vice president considerations is very important for Kari Lake. Very good for Kari Lake. This is strong. This is a risk too for Tim Scott because Kari Lake is not liked by many of the Beltway Republicans in Washington, the mainstream ones. I'm not going to call them sellouts or anything like that. I'm just saying there's a normal way that Republicans do business, and that is not Kari Lake. Okay. At least 25 Republican senators have endorsed Lake's campaign in Arizona, where she is expected to face Rep. Ruben Gallego, Democrat, Arizona, in what is considered one of the most competitive Senate races in 2024 cycle. Now, this is scary. This is where Trump being at the top of the ticket really helps Kari Lake being MAGA. Her branding is dead on, 1-for-1 with Trump. So that helps her in Arizona. And it'll dig into Ruben Gallego. You're part of that Democrat machine. You're part of the ones that lied to us about Biden being sharp as a tack. A lot of the Katie Hobbs fallout with what's going on with the border and their economy. They get all kinds of Californians moving into that state, helping destroy Arizona with California values. They need Kari Lake. They need more Republicans, way more MAGA. That is the question, because this is the homeland of John McCain. I like him. A lot of people don't. What I don't like about John McCain is how bad he was for Trump, with Trump. That puts you in the past and not in the future of the Republican Party. So Kari Lake has also come out against the McCain family, and that's her brand. She's MAGA. She's not Beltway Republican, that old Republican. That's the battle in Arizona. The old, big, fat cat Republican Party versus the MAGA grassroots. I got a ton of friends there. And to me, that's where all the energy is. That's where the donors are going. That's where the excitement is. And with the new branding of Biden's done, Kari Lake, this is a really wise move for Tim Scott. So I'm happy to hear it. Let's see how they're doing in the polls. Polling shows a tight contest between Kari Lake and Ruben Gallego, but the most recent surveys indicate Gallego has an edge over Lake in this critical swing state. Gallego narrowly leads by 4 percentage points, 45% to 41%, according to a recent poll by Emerson College in the Hill. The poll was conducted during the second week in June. Look for Kari Lake to narrow that split. That's only 4% down. It's still, those are big numbers, guys. But I think Biden's going to drag Gallego down, man. Arizonans can't endorse those lies, and they're going to decide the future of Arizona. You know, every election, it goes more and more purple, more and more blue, more and more California. And you know what? Arizona cannot weather what California weathered with their business, with the border, with their economy, and with families. So this is a real turning point. I'm rooting for Kari Lake. We're all praying for her. And of course, we'll keep you up to date on how she's doing. So that's good news. Tim Scott, good move on Tim Scott, makes him look good with MAGA. And Kari Lake looks good with having such a major politician like Tim Scott endorsing her. I'm Doug in Exile.